Christian Horner's recent $100 million settlement with Red Bull has triggered a ton of speculation about where and when a potential return to Formula One will happen. The longtime Red Bull boss has been linked with several current teams, but another possibility is also understood to be under consideration, going it alone and setting up an all-new 12th F1 entry. All options appear to be on the table right now, and discussions about the dramatic possibility of a totally new team being created under Horner's leadership have already taken place, according to our sources. The fact Horner's Red Bull severance package specifically allows him to return to F1 in the first half of 2026 makes clear that he wants to be back working in the Grand Prix paddock as soon as possible. He agreed to a reduced payout from Red Bull, although it still adds up to $100 million, in exchange for being free to start a new adventure at a rival team sooner. There is no shortage of interest from other F1 teams, so Horner now just needs to settle in his own head what he wants to do, and in particular, whether he joins someone else or does his own thing. It's widely understood that Horner is only interested in a role that gives him full control over a team. He doesn't want to accept simply being a team principal and reporting into bosses above him. Horner controlled all aspects of the Red Bull F1 operation. Up until his dismissal, he was in charge of not just Red Bull Racing, but the engine division, marketing, and the advanced engineering arm. He believed that level of control was key in Red Bull becoming a multiple title winning machine, and his stance on that being the way to run an F1 team has not changed. This is why he previously turned down offers to join Ferrari, which would probably be the worst place in F1 for someone who didn't want to be at the mercy of overarching big bosses. Fred Vassar's new contract isn't an absolute guarantee of longevity at a team like Ferrari, but Horner's not that eager to wait and see what happens there, even if you could imagine Ferrari deciding on another management overhaul if the team doesn't nail the 2026 rules. One other aspect that would especially interest Horner that he did not have at Red Bull is equity, not just control over a team, but a stake in its ownership structure too, like his old arch-rival Toto Wolff has at Mercedes. That could be possible without him needing to create his own team. There's been plenty of talk in recent weeks that Horner has investors that are ready to back any project he gets involved in, and that potentially opens the door to a team buy-in. The most obvious options that have emerged so far for Horner that would tick all the boxes are with Alpine and Aston Martin, two teams that are determined to get to the front of the grid and where he could get the control he seeks. Horner is friends with Alpine executive advisor Flavio Briatore, and it's entirely logical that some form of equity deal could be pulled together for him to buy into the squad. That would put him in a senior role and give him the freedom that would be needed to help turn around the currently Renault-owned team. Aston Martin also has big ambitions, and while Andy Cowell is currently its CEO and team principal, it's not impossible that team owner Lawrence Stroll could position things to slot Horner into a role that would be attractive. Getting some equity in the team could also be a part of that deal. There's already a precedent here, as it was revealed when design genius Adrian Newey was signed that his package included a stake in Aston Martin, something Newey had wanted but never been offered at previous employers. There was friction between Newey and Horner in their last year together at Red Bull, but it's understood that things have moved on over the past 12 months, and their friendship, which helped Red Bull to multiple championships, is now repaired. They have even enjoyed a number of social occasions together in recent months, including a trip to see an Oasis concert. Haas has also been mentioned as a Horner option recently, and it would certainly be a place where he could make an impact. However, team owner Gene Haas is understood to not be interested in selling up at the moment, so this does not appear to be a major target unless circumstances change. Though it's clear there are big opportunities for Horner among the current grid, it is understood that the more left-field idea of setting up a new team from scratch is also being seriously evaluated. After all, if Horner has potential investors behind him ready to support a team buy-in, why not go all in and build something totally new? F1's governance agreement allows for up to 12 teams on the grid, which means there is, in theory, currently one vacant slot, with Cadillac joining the field in 2026 as the 11th entrant. To take the 12th place, Horner would need to pull together a pool of investors to help fund it, with the costs likely to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and an entry would be unlikely before 2028, even if things advanced quickly. While this would be the most expensive route for Horner to take, it's equally one that would make a lot of financial sense. With current team valuations being well north of $1 billion, spending around half of that to get a team up and running would appear to be good value. Horner was very commercially savvy as a team boss, and having convinced plenty of major corporations to back Red Bull over the years, he may well have the necessary contacts needed to find partners willing to support the project to the extent it needs. Sources we've spoken to have suggested that preliminary discussions on this front have already taken place. Finding the necessary backers and putting the financial package together is one thing. Getting the entry approved and across the line could be another thing altogether, as the Andretti operation behind what's now Cadillac found out. It will finally join the grid in 2026, having started its plan as long ago as 2021, when Andretti attempted to take over Sauber. That deal collapsed at the 11th hour when it was on the brink of being formally announced. This eventually led Sauber into the arms of Audi, while Andretti's focus moved to creating its own team. In early 2023, FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem asked for expressions of interest from those wanting to enter an F1 team, and Andretti ended up getting the FIA seal of approval to join the grid. But it's not just down to the FIA, and Andretti's plan was rejected by Formula One management, which felt it would not bring sufficient added value to Grand Prix racing, a stance backed by most of the current teams, which set a high bar for any newcomer to share F1's prize money fund. What began as Andretti had to turn into a full-on General Motors-backed Cadillac operation before F1 finally relented and let it in. Cadillac has since set about creating a full works effort that will eventually include an engine program, and it's on course to join the grid from the start of the 2026 season. If Horner went ahead with the idea of a 12th F1 team, he would need to ensure that any proposal he had would win over rival teams the FIA and FOM. This could involve the support of manufacturer, a game-changing sponsor or backer, or another key element so persuasive that stakeholders in F1 would find it difficult to reject. While the current high market value of existing F1 teams might make creating a new one more appealing than paying big bucks for a current one that Horner would probably want to completely transform anyway, another factor he'd need to take into account would be the anti-dilution fee that would need to be paid to rivals for their potential loss of commercial rights income from having to share it out with another entrant. How much that would be for a 12th team is unclear right now, as it will form part of the new Concord agreement, but it's been widely reported that Cadillac has had to stump up $450 million, and the existing teams want the new fee to be even higher. And how long will it take to create a new F1 team from scratch right now? Another ex-F1 team boss who's trying to do the same, and more of him in a moment, reckoned that even if the personnel hiring process started tomorrow, being ready before 2028 or 2029 would be unrealistic. Possibility of another set of brand new engine regulations factors in too, as that changeover point could be the ideal moment to arrive on the grid. There had been some talk of the FIA wanting V8 engines to come in for 2029, but this has now been ruled out after current manufacturers made clear recently that they were not in favour of an early change from the planned new turbo hybrids. Ben Sulayem has indicated that F1 will now wait until 2031 before considering a new direction for its power units, which could delay anyone's plans for timing a 12th team entry. It's hard to imagine Horner accepting being off the pit wall for half a decade. One other complication in getting a 12th team project up and running is that Horner is not the only person plotting such a thing right now. It's already been revealed that former Aston Martin and Alpine team principal Otmar Szafnauer is actively pushing to get a squad of his own onto the grid soon. Ever since his dismissal from Alpine in 2023, Szafnauer has been looking for his own way back into F1 and revealed earlier this year that he had made good progress in getting a project moving. He told the race's Team Principal podcast that the finances are in place and that he had a car maker ready to support his effort too. He said the critical factor was now the timing of an opportunity opening, and that meant either a 12th slot on the grid being offered or another F1 team being put up for sale that he could swoop for. Otmar estimated a difference of between 10% and 30% in costs between starting a team from scratch versus purchasing an existing one. Ben Sulayem is certainly interested in attracting another team, and revealed earlier this year that talks had taken place with parties from China who are looking at potential entry. The competition for a 12th slot could be very hot if the FIA decided that it was time to add another team. It's not a given that Horner will be able to come straight in. He may yet conclude that if opportunities are there to take over an existing team, even one with plenty of flaws in its current form or a heavy price tag on it, that would be the preferable route. Right now, nothing is decided in Horner's head beyond his certainty that he has unfinished business in F1.